Hello, Annyeonghaseyo, Ryan Walters here, and we start this week with a heavy heart. We start this week honoring the late Kim Nam-chun. Kim was found in his apartment on Friday, October 30th from an apparent suicide, according to police. And a ceremony was held in his honor the following day at Seoul World Cup Stadium to pay tribute to him ahead of FC Seoul's game with Incheon United. It was a very emotional affair that Paul and I were there for in person, and one that I know personally will stick with me for a very long time. For his on-field accolades, however, which we'll start there were quite a few of those. And Matthew?
Kim Nam-chun, he started his professional career at FC Seoul, signing in 2013 before making his professional debut on the 1st of May 2013 in an AFC Champions League match with Buriram United, playing for the full 90 minutes. Kim's first K-League appearance would come on a season later, with the defender being handed a start that in August. In the Gyeongin Derby, a game that Seoul would go on to win 5-1. He'd make 6 more appearances that season and score his first professional goal, finding the net against Ulsan on the 9th of October in a 3-0 win. Kim continued to increase his appearances with Seoul over the next 2 seasons, culminating in being part of the side that would lift the FA Cup in 2015, before then clinching the 2016 K-League Classic title. The following season would see Kim commence his military service, enrolling with Sangju Sangmu. He would go on to make 38 league appearances and be made vice-captain for the army side before returning to his parent club Seoul in late 2018. Kim's last appearance for Seoul came against Suwon Blue Wings in September this year. In total, the defender made 83 appearances across all competitions for FC Seoul, and with 2020 having seen him become a regular fixture in the backline with 22 league appearances.
Yeah, as a player, Kim Nam-chun took his inspiration from one of his footballing heroes, Nemanja Vidic, as reflected in his social media handles. Kim forged a reputation as a solid center back with an aerial presence, in addition to good mobility and a very commanding grasp of his defense. In both speaking with his teammates over the weekend and seeing the outpouring of love and support on social media this weekend, it's very clear that he was a popular member of his team within the FC Seoul locker room and across the league from his time at Sangju. And I think we'd be remiss if we talked about this and we didn't say that if you or a loved one here in Korea is struggling with mental health, Lifeline Korea offers 24-hour telephone service to people here in South Korea who are depressed or at risk of suicide. They can be reached at 15889191. And that's just here in Korea. Obviously, there are services worldwide, but that's for those of you here. And all of us here at K-League United send our sincere condolences to Kim Nam-chun's family, friends, and teammates in this very difficult time. And may he rest in peace. And we're going to do what we can. We're gonna take a quick break here. We're going to reset, and we're going to talk about football. So we'll be right back.
Beautifully created goal, rammed into the net by Incheon. The header is good, and it's the giant defender John Tae-wook, and eventually Korea have broken the deadlock.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, Annyeonghaseyo, Ryan Walters for a live edition of the K-League United podcast, joined once again by, well, I guess you could say my usual host, Matthew Binns is here.
Hello.
And from the fields of Gimjae, it's Peter Hampshire.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing?
And yeah, it was a weekend. Well, we were talking, Matthew and I were talking a little bit about this before we came on. Weird one. Being at the stadium for Kim Nam-chun was difficult, but it was Sunday for me that it just absolutely hit me like a ton of bricks. But we'll We'll talk about the football on the field to kind of distract ourselves there, because I don't think anybody wants to see me ugly cry on the internet. So let's talk about something else that it's not going to cheer me up, but Matthew, it'll cheer you up. Congratulations on the 8th title for Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors.
Yeah, a record 8th, a unprecedented 4th in a row, and I picked up another title personally as well with the K-League United Writers Belt. Finding its way over to me as well. So yeah,
Dan has to hand it to you in person, so I'm sure that's going to be. Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, as long as he remembers to bring it up when he next time we see him. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to.
The Christmas party this year is going to be like a real Christmas party, like a family event where like the uncles are fighting.
It was interesting in the media zone on Sunday, because me and Bins were typing away at the full-time whistle, and then like 5 minutes later I was like, "Oh, congratulations, by the way!" Like, yeah, because we were so in the zone, we just got carried away.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the match itself, we're probably going to talk about it a little bit more, but
not if I can help it.
No, are you sure? We've got lots to talk about. But yeah, we also marked Lee Dong-guk's retirement. He capped off a 23-year playing career, retiring at the end of the match, and it was quite a lengthy retirement ceremony for him. Pete, who was suffering in the cold, may have suggested 1 or 2 times it was going on a little bit too long.
Yeah, there was a lot of video action, wasn't there? I think it was good to see him get emotional and have a guard of honor. He obviously deserves it as a K-League legend.
Yeah.
But, then in that cold, it did turn. It's turned this last week in Korea. I feel like I say that in every podcast, but it just keeps getting colder and colder. And it was quite excited to get out and get a Doncass inside me.
For those outside of Korea, just Google it. Just Google it.
Yeah. But, yeah. An eventful Sunday in the top half of the table anyway. Well,
indeed, yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit, and we're going to put a bow on this, because we've got so much still on. We have the FA Cup, we have AFC Champions League coming up soon, we have our awards that people are voting for, we have the official awards that are coming up this week. There's just always so much on, so it's kind of hard to remember that the league did finish this week, and it did. And we're going to talk about Final A first, and we're gonna look back in time, and we're going to see how we did preseason with our preseason predictions. So we'll see how wrong we were when it comes to Final A. And then each of us is going to list a biggest surprise from the top half, biggest disappointment. That should be a tough segment. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to try to predict if they're going to finish higher or lower in 2021. Take a quick break, come back and do the same thing for Final Round B, or Final B, actually, as we're calling it this year. And then for those of you listening to the podcast edition, it will be an exclusive interview with Stefan Magosa that Paul Neat did just earlier today. For those of you watching live, sorry, Paul wasn't able to finish editing that up in time. He's a very busy man, and we couldn't get the video ready for tonight. Plus, just go listen to the podcast. It's good stuff. Then we'll come back and talk about the FA Cup, because who doesn't want to see Ulsan and Jeonbuk one more time? Nay, 2 more times. We'll talk about that. And then we'll come back for the Olgi Luis mailbag, which we have quite a few questions in. And if you're watching live on social right now, which I see we do have somebody watching from Germany. So greetings.
The flag behind me.
Hey, there you
welcome, Bjorn.
And so if you have any questions, comments, or reactions as we're going here, get those into the comments, and we will talk about them throughout the show. But let's do what Matthew Binns loves to do every year. Let's talk about the champions. Let's talk about Final Round A, where
gather around that time of year. It's come early this year as well. Oh, lovely.
It has.
Mm-hmm. But not as early as in 2018, where they still won it, a little bit before the 1st of November. But anyway, Jeonbuk have won the league. And,
they have.
It's all the better for it, the league, I think.
Okay, yeah. Jeonbuk finished first. Congratulations. Yay. Ulsan Hyundai finished second. and we will talk about that. Pohang Steelers finished third. Sangju Sangmu finished fourth, but they are going to be relegated regardless. And in case you're not aware of that, that's because they will be relocating, and that is why they are being automatically relegated despite a fantastic season. Daegu FC finished fifth and secured the fourth and final AFC Champions League spot for their troubles. And Gwangju FC, with their highest ever finish, they lost all 5 matches in the top half. Reminds me of the Jeonnam Dragons back in 2016. But hey, a 6th place finish is a 6th place finish. And we'll talk about their points total there. But let's talk about that table one more time. And let's talk about how we did with our predictions. So once again, in first place was Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. Matthew, you had...
Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors.
Okay. Peter?
Yeah, same here. I went for Jeonbuk.
Yeah, clean sweep. I think we all knew the inevitability of that one. So I got that one right. Happy about that. In second place,
let's finish there. Let's not bother going down further down the table.
We don't need to look at the
finish
other.
on a high.
Yeah, let's not look at the other 11 at all. All right. So in second place was also on Hyundai. Matthew had
FC Seoul.
Yeah, he did. I forgot you had him up that high. I shouldn't laugh. I should not laugh, but luckily Paul's not here for this one. He had them winning. So
Yeah.
you didn't have that. Pete?
I think I got caught up in Paul's preseason euphoria.
He was like, Park Ji-young's got 20 goals in him this year.
And I sat there on the subway like, yeah, maybe he has. Maybe he has.
He probably does.
I'll use that excuse as well because I put FC Seoul.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had Ulsan finishing second because had a feeling. All right, in third, the Pohang Steelers actually finished third. Matthew, you had?
Ulsan Hyundai.
Okay, not far off. Pete?
Ulsan Hyundai. I've just copied Bins by the sound of it.
And after laughing at you guys, I had FC Seoul in third.
We all expected big things.
I assumed that Alexander Pesic was going to play and that Adriano still had the ability to kick a football. So I thought they might be a little bit better than they were this year. What are you going to do? All right. In fourth place was Sangju Sangmu. Matthew, you had?
Sangju Sangmu.
Hey!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pete?
I also had Sangju Sangmu.
In fourth?
Yeah, in fourth.
Okay. I had Pohang in fourth, so I feel all right about that because I was just one off there. Let's move down to fifth where we have Daegu FC. I don't think any of us had that one. Matthew, who did you have in fifth?
I had Pohang in fifth.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember me and Bins had the same top 5 and then it went drastically different. I also had Pohang in fifth.
I had Sangju in fifth, so I was just one off on those. All right, the last one here. Matthew, who did you have in sixth place, which was Gwangju FC, but who did you have?
Gangwon.
Oh, okay.
I also had Gangwon. Did I write yours down today? Or what happened there?
I also had Gangwon, and I think I said at the time that it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't make it and they finished just seventh.
Yeah, they were always going to be on the edge, I thought. So,
and if we look at the points totals, technically they were sixth. So, just saying. All right, so that's how it actually finished. I feel like we did okay there. And I'm going to remind us all of that when we come to final B, where I don't feel good about how things went down there too much. All right. So, Peter, we'll get started with you here. What was your biggest surprise in final A?
Biggest surprise for me, watching them a lot of times as well, was that Gwangju made it into that top 6. Obviously, they finished on the same amount of points as Busan in the bottom place. But I think you've got to have the caveat that they were playing the 5 top teams after the split. I was surprised how the front 3 adapted so well, Felipe, Willian and Onwon Sang, and they looked like they could take apart any defence in the league. And I was also surprised how in the preseason I lambasted the Gwangju midfield. I said they were ageing and no strength in depth, but I think they held up fairly well, considering all of them are pretty much over 30, the wrong side of 30. So Gwangju for me.
The right side of 30 for those of us that are on that side, Pete. Thank you very much.
I've got 2 months left. I'm clinging on.
I would also say about Gwangju, they lost 2 of those games 1-0. So it's not like, it's not like they were out of their depth there. The thing
that will stick in the throat for them is that they've not won in the home stadium, their new home stadium. They're still not won there. So that will carry on into next season. And that's just hanging over them.
Got to get a roof over those stands. That's what gets you some wins. Matthew, what was your biggest surprise in final A?
I mean, maybe it shouldn't have been so surprising, but Pohang Steelers, I thought that they had a good team. I said they were going to be fifth. I just didn't realize how exciting they were going to be towards the end of the season. Now, they weren't that good at the beginning of the season. They were inconsistent. There was flashes of what they were capable of, but they were still not winning those big matches. And then we got to that final run in the season, especially those last 8 or 9 games where Kang Sang-woo came back from Sangju Sangmu and just added to what was already a frightening attack. And I think Palacios, we had given him a bit short shrift early on in the season, but he began to look better towards the end of the season. And if they can keep hold of Kang Sang-woo, Palacios, Ilichenko, Palosevic, Song Min-kyu, which is going to be very hard to do, I think, and they've got a good keeper as well. I mean, that's half a title-winning side there. And they've still got other players who aren't bad either. They are going to lose their defensive midfielder, Chae Young-jun, who's on loan from Jeonbuk at the moment. But maybe that was Jeonbuk's secret to beating them, just loan out a player that can't play against him. Make him captain at Pohang. And but no, so...
Well, Pohang did beat Jeonbuk, though, so it didn't work that
eventually, well. But I mean, there was a lot of chances missed.
That's true.
I think they surprised me. If they can keep hold of that team and build on it, then they could well be the title challengers next season, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think, not to give the game away, I think Pohang might get a title before Ulsan do.
Well... Yeah, Ulsan would have to win.
Let's wait until after.
Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that. I actually, and we didn't communicate before because we wanted to have some surprises here. I also have, when it comes to surprises, it wasn't Ulsan bottling it. None of us mentioned that because it wasn't a surprise, was it? Anyway, I have Pohang as my surprise there, just because they outscored their opponents 15-7 in these final games. And the one match that they lost, they won 4 and lost 1. The one that they lost was a ridiculously entertaining match against Daegu that was essentially just Daegu doing Daegu things and refusing to be held down. They held 2 clean sheets after the split. They beat Jeonbuk, and they absolutely destroyed Ulsan. They just embarrassed Ulsan again when it mattered the most. And I think that's something that, like you're saying, I think that could come in handy when it comes to them challenging for a title, which might be happening sooner than later. But speaking of Ulsan, let's talk about disappointments. Who do you have? I guess that's giving away my answer. But who or what do you have for biggest disappointment in Final A?
Yeah, so my biggest disappointment was Jeonbuk's attack. I think there was a significant lack of goals for Jeonbuk this year. It took a while for them to get going, and it took them some mid-season transfers to help build the form that they're renowned for. They had the 3rd best goal tally in the league, and whereas they've been first for the past 4 seasons. So it just seems like they really got that wrong in the preseason, and I think we touched on it as well when things started, when we could see how things were going to play out in the AFC Champions League. Losing Lopez was massive, and it took a while for Jeonbuk to build up rhythm, find a consistent midfield formation, find a consistent starting lineup, but B, to get that goal scorer they needed, to get that winger to replace Lopez, and that came in Modou Barrow and Gustavo. And they got better, but it was a disappointment because they looked very beatable in the first half of the season. Not so much in the latter half. I genuinely think they really did improve towards the end, and we saw some really good, mature champions-like performances, to use the cliche. But at the beginning of the season, anybody could have had a go at them, I think.
And did, yeah. Mm-hmm. Pete, welcome back.
Thank you. I think next time I might have to do this in the library or something and just talk loudly about K-League so everyone can hear.
Hey, man, that's just marketing 101 right there. Go to a library and shout about what you care about. You can tell that I have an English degree. Anyway, Pete, what was your biggest disappointment in Final A?
For me, it was that Pohang didn't get their act together sooner, because if they did have them, we could have had a 3-way title race. I mean, they won they won 8 of their last 10 games, pre-split and post-split, including wins over Jeonbuk and Ulsan. So it could have been a fantastic 3-way title race if they'd have found that form earlier. Maybe if Palacios would have been more consistent earlier in the season. And Kang Sang-woo's arrival obviously helped as well. So just a couple
Yeah,
more players
absolutely
and they could have had a three-way race.
Yeah. My disappointment, you'll be shocked, is Kim Do-hoon.
Mhm.
I know. I hope this is the last week, but we're talking about things that disappointed us. He has beaten Jeonbuk twice in 15 times of trying. 15 times. He beat them 2-1 in May of 2019 and 1-0 in 2017. And that's it. That's the end of the list. That's how many times he's beaten Jeonbuk. The other thing, okay, so yeah, that's Jeonbuk. He can't beat them, fine. But we also talk about his record against Pohang, which is also abysmal. And for me, it's what we've talked about before. It's these lineup choices and overthinking everything, overcomplicating things, setting his team up to fail time and again. And that's before we get to the kickoff. After kickoff, he had no idea how to adjust in games that they weren't just dominating. If Ulsan didn't come out and Junior have, smack the defense in the mouth early on, he didn't know how to adjust tactically. And Dan said this when he was on last week. Ulsan was playing Jeonbuk's game in the match that mattered. And that's just what happens because he doesn't know how to adjust tactically. And that's why he's got to go. He's got to go. We'll see how they do in ACL. We'll see how they do in the FA Cup. But I mean, honestly, Matthew, congratulations on winning the double.
Well, I mean, I had a lot to do with it, obviously.
You did. You did. I know you did. Yeah. Okay. I'm done. I've talked about it enough. Yeah. Let's move on to the fun part of this segment. All right. So we're going to talk about if they're going to finish higher or lower. So one more time, we're going to go through this list. And you know what? This time we'll start at the bottom of the list. We'll start with 6th. And Pete, we'll start with you, then Matthew, then I'll go. All right. So Pete, Gwangju FC, higher or lower in 2021?
I think a lot lower. I think they're going to struggle next season.
Matthew?
Certainly lower once Jeonbuk snicked on Wonsang.
Yeah, lower. Much. Relegation might be a concern depending on how things go. We'll see. Daegu FC, Pete?
Daegu, I think slightly lower.
Okay. Matthew?
The same.
I'm going to push. I'm going to say they'll finish 5th again.
Yeah.
Pete, we've got Sangju Sangmu in 4th, not an option. They've been relegated. So let's move on to the Pohang Steelers. They finished 3rd.
Yep, I'm going to say they're going to finish higher. I'm still undecided whether it's going to be 1st or 2nd, but I'm going to put it on the line in November when the season starts in March and say they're definitely finishing higher next season.
Okay. Matthew?
Higher.
How high?
Not that high. But higher.
I'll say higher as well. And I will also be vague and just say 1st or 2nd. All right, Ulsan, Pete.
Lower. Slightly.
Yeah, lower.
Yeah, lower. Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors?
Same position as this season.
Oh, Pete.
I've been indoctrinated now. I've been in that media zone too many times.
It is nice. They're very friendly.
Yeah.
One of us. 5 in a row. It's Jeonbuk.
Okay, no, lower than 1st. All right. Somebody else. I can't keep covering this league and have them win every single year. Somebody else is going to get it next year. All right. That's it for Final A. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about Final B. We'll be right back.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters, joined by Matthew Binns.
Hello.
And Pete Hampshire.
Hello.
Okay, I was to say we hope, Pete, because...
Yeah.
Whew. All right. Gentlemen, we are into Final B, which, I mean, as somebody that really does want playoffs in K-League, the split was all sorts of entertaining this year, and the relegation battle was just something else. So to save a little bit of time this time, because surprise, surprise, we went a little bit long in Final A. So in Final B, I'm going to list the team that actually finished in that position, and then we're going to say who we had there preseason. All right. So let's start in 7th place with Gangwon FC. Matthew, who did you have in 7th preseason?
Hang on a second. I had. Really? Did I go for that? I went for Daegu in 7th. Daegu in 7th.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, we just had very similar predictions. I had Daegu as well.
Oh, this is making us look terrible. I also had Daegu in 7th, which in my parentheses I put bad. Very bad. All right. In 8th place, Suwon Samsung Blue Wings. That's who finished there. Matthew, who did you have there?
Busan iPark.
Eek.
Ooh. I got it correct. I put Suwon Blue Wings. That's the first. Oh no, John Book as well. 2 correct. Fantastic.
Okay. All right. I also had Busan iPark. It turns out after 3 years of saying this is a K1 ready team, I believed my own hype and thought they were a K1 ready team and thought they would do a lot better. They did not. All right. In 9th place was FC Seoul, who Matthew had in 2nd. So who did you have in 9th preseason?
Gwangju.
Okay. Pete?
Yeah, I also had Gwangju, which I think is a fair shout considering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't listed Gwangju yet because in 9th place I had Incheon United. Never doubt Incheon. Just don't believe in them that much because 9th was a bit of a stretch. All right, in 10th place, after 2 wins to end the season. Yeah, we haven't even talked about how amazing that was. Songnam and Incheon both with 2 wins to end the season. Fantastic stuff there. And they finished 10th in real life. Matthew, who did you have there in our pretend reality preseason?
I had Incheon in 10th.
Okay. Pete?
I had Busan iPark.
A little more realistic. In 10th, I had Suwon Samsung Blue Wings, who, look, they could have finished there. They came alive post-split, so I don't feel too bad about that one. In 11th, we had Incheon United pulling off the greatest of great escapes with back-to-back wins to end the season. Ugh, good on you, Incheon. Matthew, who did you have in 11th preseason?
Suwon Samsung Blue Wings.
All right. Pete?
Oh, I nailed it. I got Incheon United.
Hey, well done. I had Songnam. Came pretty close. Pretty close. I feel pretty good about that one. I don't feel too bad. The next one, however, I did not do well with. Relegated in 12th place, 1 year up, 1 year down. And it's Busan iPark, who will be going back to K-League 2, which means we'll see you in the promotion relegation playoff 2021. We didn't even have it this year, and now we know Busan's going to be in it next year because much like Matthew winning everything, it's just inevitable. But anyway, we'll talk about it another time. Matthew, who did you have getting relegated preseason?
Songnam FC.
So close.
Yeah, I also had Songnam. It was a fantastic final day, but pulled themselves out of it, didn't they?
I thought that Songnam would just pull themselves away from Gwangju FC. Nailed it. But to be fair to me, they did finish on the same number of points as Busan, so I don't feel too terrible about it. But well, yeah, we did all right. All right. So biggest surprise here, much like I said earlier, it was not a surprise that Ulsan bottled it, and it wasn't a surprise that Incheon pulled it off. Good on you, Incheon. Matthew, that's not actually my biggest surprise there, but who did you have as your biggest surprise here in Final B?
FC Seoul. I had them to finish 2nd. I'm certainly surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, as it all started playing out, it looked more and more inevitable that they were never going to make the top half. I mean, but the thing is, when they first played Jeonbuk, it was to go top of the league.
Mm-hmm.
So there was the possibility that, yeah, perhaps 2nd was a bit overly optimistic, but they could have been a top half side. But then, you know, they've had 3 different managers at the helm this season. They've just had horrendous form. They've had issues off the pitch as well in terms of marketing and ways they handled the Ki Sung-young transfer. And even though they got that over the line, then
Eventually
they still haven't really been able to utilize him yet, due to Key's injuries, but also not really in the marketing sense as well. They've been holding him back. And I just think FC Seoul just had a really dismal season. And I was surprised by that because I thought they'd learnt their lesson the season before, and
Yeah.
this was going to be building on that. But alas, it wasn't to be, and that's where they are now.
Pete, what was your biggest surprise at Final B?
Well, there's not many leagues in the world where you've got two teams qualifying for continental football, and then the next season they're both finishing in the bottom half.
Yeah.
So it was that Seoul and Suwon were in the bottom half for me. Because watching, I think I said before, watching both of them in the ACL first games when the group stage started before the league, they both looked okay. You know, especially Suwon. I thought Donnell Henry was going to be a colossus at the back and it'd be a nice spine, but it's not quite worked out for both of them.
Yeah, pretty surprising to see both of them down there, like you say. I think for me, it was a little bit of a split. It's hard to say it was a surprise to see Gangwon down here because Gangwons, you know, that's just what they do. They did finish higher on points than their 7th place finish, which is very, very Gangwon. So that's not too much of a surprise. I think for me, to kind of on the positive side of things, I was surprised how much Suwon turned it on post-split because they looked really listless and then went down there for the super match, and boy, did they decide they did not want to be relegated. And they only lost one game post-split, and they won in pretty good fashion. And they ended up using the split as to me, it looked like a way to ramp up for ACL. And they looked really good doing it. And I didn't necessarily see that coming from them based on their form before the split. I mean, we all thought they had a really good chance of going down. So who knows? That was a little bit of a surprise for me there. And speaking of surprises, which again was not Incheon, but we did have a question about Incheon that came in from Todd Wild, who I see is watching now and talking a little bit of trash on YouTube as well. Hey, Todd. He asked, can Incheon kick on from here? Because again, wasn't a surprise that they did it, but can they kick on from here and be anything other than an outfit that's K3 standard for the first half of the season before transforming into a top half caliber side? So can Incheon change basically their DNA? Can they be something else next year?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that possibility. I'd like to think they could, but they are Incheon as well. Incheon will Incheon, and they have a good manager now. But you know, I expect him to start poorly, be fired midway through the season, and another manager come in and they'll save them from relegation. And the circle of life continues down in Incheon. But yeah, they still have Magosa. They still have Song Soo
for now.
Yeah, they have Mahadzi, and they've had Aguilar on loan. Keep them among others. And
Itae between the sticks, man.
Itae, well, I mean, yeah, he wasn't playing the first half of the season. Nope. They were playing the other goalkeeper. So they've got like good players there, and now they've got a good manager. If perhaps they can keep hold of these and just get a few more good signings, then you know they're not going to. I don't think they're going to disturb the top half anytime soon, but they shouldn't be in this mess every year. It'd be good to see some improvement from them. But yeah, who knows? It's Incheon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're stable enough behind the scenes to challenge the top 6, but I think the bottom half is such an evenly contested section. Like any of those teams could have gone down in the final B. I think Busan were quite unlucky in that sense, although it's of their own making, obviously. Talk about them later. I know you've got questions about them later. But Incheon, I think next season, depending on who comes up as well, they could be more comfortable, finally. And I'm sure the Incheon fans, it's like with Barnsley, I'm sure they just want one season where they can get to the last month and just relax a bit. But it never happens.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I don't know if they'll be on the bottom fighting their way up in historic fashion like they have been the past 2 seasons. And you kind of hinted at it there, Pete. Let's move on to the biggest disappointment here. And again, you kind of already hinted at mine, so I'll just take this one here. For me, it was Busan. I think it had to be Busan. They had a 0-0 draw with Suwon and then lost 2 straight matches, one after having a 1-0 lead against the teams right next to them in the table. You can't do that. I don't know what that was. And honestly, shame on Chodok J for just bailing. I mean, the moment they hit bottom, he was like, all right, peace. And I think that was the nail in the coffin for them, because if they would have had at least some stability on the sideline, I feel like they could have seen out one of those final 3 matches, maybe gotten something more out of that Suwon match. But again, we did, Suwon did play extremely well post split, but against Incheon or Songnam, when you got that lead, I just feel like some sort of consistency or at least familiarity there would have really helped out and could have seen them stay up. So to me, it was really disappointing also because this wasn't the Busan side that we all really enjoyed watching in K2. They changed the way that they played, and we saw from Gyeongnam that you can come up and you can keep playing attacking football and win. Gyeongnam got promoted and then came up and finished second. Okay, they fell off a cliff the next season and got relegated, but we did have that one fantastic season where Gyeongnam just stormed the table playing attacking football, and I was hoping that we would see something like that from Busan, but they changed their identity, and then again Chodok J bailed, and so yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I had Busan as well, just to wrap it up again. I mean, I think the worry now is if they're going straight back down, they're going to lose a lot of that team.
Yeah,
Hamulu's contract is ending. Kim Min-hwan and Lee Dong-jun, I mean, they're going to be sought after by other clubs.
Yeah, they can't go back down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said to Peter after they went down, I mean, Kim Min-hwan might as well just get his neon green jersey now. Like, no, but John Book need a right back. John Book need a right back. Just saying, if there's a player going down, then, anyway, too soon. But yeah, I think...
Interesting tweet from Thomas Marcantonio, the Busan International Supporters Group, about all the forward signings they had this year. And
yes,
only one goal from a large amount of minutes. So that's what has cost them, really, because if you compare them to the other team that came up, Gwangju, they've got, I know not all their signings worked out, but the two marquee players, Felipe and Willian, produced the goods all season long.
Yeah, I think more was expected of Hamelo. I think we expected him to do a little bit better. But as Dan is saying in the comments right now, and we said this all year, Vete was not the answer for Busan. I have no idea why they even made that signing. I thought he had a good year for Ansan Greeners last year, but I don't know how he managed to get that move up to K1. Honestly, kudos to his agent, probably. But I don't think that was really warranted. And surprise, surprise, it didn't work out. So, yeah, pretty disappointing from Busan there. And we're running a little bit long on this segment here again. But we do have a quick one, and we'll do this quickly. We have one from Charlotte Patterson. She's asking, what do you feel Busan need to do this off-season? And is it realistic for them to be challengers in K2 next year?
No. I think they're going to get torn apart from clubs coming in to rip out the teams that got them to those playoff finals that we say that they're automatic shoo-ins for. They're going to go down, and they're going to lose a lot of that squad, and the squad that they've got with the players that they've got aren't performing. The ones they're going to be left with are going to be the Ulcerans. No offense to them, but they, as we talk about that tweet that Tom Marcantonio sent out, of all of their attacking signings this season, only one of them scored a goal and one assist. Yeah. Despite 58 games between them, nobody's coming in for them. So
yeah,
you've still got them, Busan, but all your quality players are going to be taken. And yeah, with how they're going to have no manager as well. They've got a caretaker manager at the moment, but he will go. They're going to have to get a new manager in with a new style. It's going to be a complete rebuild job, and you're going to need to have a board you can trust to rebuild. And I don't think Busan fans have that at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Kim Min-hwan, they've been there for a good while now, and they're going to lose them, and it'll disrupt the dressing room.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a complete teardown and rebuild. It's got to be. Get rid of absolutely everybody that's worth any value, bring in some money for the club, and start over. And honestly, I don't see anything wrong with Busan planning on having more than 1 year in K2 next year. With Sangju Sangmu coming down on the roster that they have, I would not be gunning for promotion next year. I don't think that's the smart move for Busan. I think find your identity, find players that fit that identity, and start to build towards that and try to come up a little bit later. But I mean, next year, we might as well just hand that shield to Sangju Sangmu right now, because that they just finished in the top half of K1. They're going to do pretty well in K2. All right. Speaking of higher or lower, let's do this one more time. All right. Let's start at the bottom one more time. Busan obviously can't go any higher or lower. So let's move up to Incheon United. Are they going to finish higher or lower than 11th, Matthew?
Higher.
Ooh, all right. Pete.
I put 11th again. I've just contradicted myself from what I said earlier.
I'm going to say higher. I'm going to say higher because I have to. All right. Songnam, they finish 10th. Matthew, next year they will finish higher or lower?
Lower.
Ooh, how low?
How low can they go? But no. Yeah, lower.
Okay, Pete.
Same again for me. Songnam 10th next season.
I'm going to say they're going to be in the Pro Rail playoff. I think they finish 11th next year. I mean, based on right now, who knows? No, Na Sang-ho is really good, and they only need one or two more pieces. So you know what? Push. FC Seoul. Matthew?
Fool me once. Yeah, I'm going to say Seoul higher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pete?
higher for me as well. Yep.
Yeah, I would imagine, right? Yeah, FC Seoul have to finish higher next year. Suwon Samsung Blue Wings. Matthew?
Higher. Bakuna Matata. It will catch on.
You're trying.
I'm trying.
Pete?
Yeah, I'm saying they're going to finish as high as 5th next season.
Ooh. Oh, hey. All right. Lower.
Ooh.
Lower. All right, Gangwon FC, Matthew.
Higher.
Pete?
Same again, 7th.
Lower. I think they'll finish like 8th or something because Gangwon. All right, gents. We ran a little bit long on those two segments, so that means we're just going to shorten our FA Cup preview a little bit, and that shouldn't be too hard because we're very familiar with both of those teams. But for those of you watching live, we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back to talk about the FA Cup final. For those of you listening to the podcast, here's Paul Neat with Stefan Magosa.
Stefan, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations,
Yes.
You've done it again.
Again, unbelievable. But this is Incheon, brother. This is Incheon. Miracle come again, and we survived like last year and like a few years ago, of course. Same feeling.
You always believed that you would do it. Is that because of experience?
Yeah, of course, I believe because also experience, and I trust my teammates and my coaching staff, and of course, I trust my fans who help us to win this game at home against Busan. I think this was most important games for us because if we draw or if we lose this game, for us it's finished. But we win this game, and this game give us some strength, and this last game we win and stay in K1.
Incredible. What was the atmosphere like in the squad last week before the last game? Are you nervous? What was it more about focused, or were you feeling quite confident?
No, we feel like confidence because, like I say, this game against Busan was for us, I think, most important game because if we lose this game, it's finished season for us. We go relegate, but we win this game, and then we know that we have hard games. Seoul is a very good team, but we was so confident that we can win this game and survive because we just need one more step to survive this year. But yes, we play so good. We score in first half and then we defend like what we need, and of course we survive.
What did the coach say beforehand? What was his team talk like before the Seoul game?
No, he always pick up one team that we must be like a family. It was our strength because Incheon is, we are every year like family. The fans, the coaches, the staff, the doctor team, and the players. We are like one family, and I think this is power who Incheon have. And this game was very important, and the coach say just play with confidence, play simple, and don't worry, will be everything good. I mean,
obviously now that fans were back for a bit towards the end of the season, did you feel the difference? Because obviously the Busan game, the fans obviously must have been a very, very big help.
Of course, especially for Incheon, the fans are 12 players. You see, we have a lot of power when we play in front of our fans. Even 30% of stadium, they come like 4,000-5,000 people on our stadiums against Busan game. And we second time we feel like that we fly together and we score one goal, and then we get too much confidence, and then after 1 minute we scored second goal, and was crazy atmosphere in the stadium, even in this situation about Corona. But imagine if we don't have this Corona and come 20,000 our fans, and this will be amazing feeling for us. Of course, Incheon is strong with our fans.
For sure. Against Seoul, Elias Aguilar scored the goal. What's it like having him back? What does he bring to the team?
Yes, Aguilar and me play very good 2018 when we come in Korea, and we have specially relationship, and I know his style, he know my style, and I think with me and him, Incheon is more strongest team. Of course, Korean players help us too much, but he is a really good player, and he know how to control the tempo. He know how to give key pass, and this key pace I need. And this game I don't score, but he score, and this game was only important 3 points. Even if goalkeepers score, we don't care. Only was important 3 points for us.
It was a huge 3 points, and you knew that you had to just concentrate on your own game. It didn't matter what happened elsewhere. How did you feel on the day of the game? Was there any nerves at all, even just a little bit?
Yes, this is like positive. Positive feels that you know that if you win, you are safe. I don't want to think about this Songnam Busan game. I don't care for them because I'm only looking to myself, to my team, and I know if we do good job, we are safe. And this was, I think, nobody thinking about this another games. So Busan and Songnam. We just focus about our games, and every players and every coaching staff was focused only about our games and 3 points, and this was finished.
So you got the win. How did you celebrate afterwards? Did you all go out as a team?
Yes, after the game, you know this situation about this guy who died.
For sure.
Seoul. Yeah.
Very
Then
sad.
we go straight in dressing room. We don't celebrate too much because I'm so sorry for this guy. And after we go some little dinner together and drink some beer, and of course the season is finished. It's allowed, and then now it's time to go home and take a rest little. I have national team after 1 week. I need to play 2 more games, and after this, I hope I will take good rest because this season was very stressful season, but on end was successful and happy end.
Yeah, and you've still got a contract with Incheon for a while, so fans can expect you to be back next year, right?
Yeah, I have still 1 more year contract next season. I have contract, but we will see what happens. Maybe I stay, maybe I leave. I don't know yet, but I don't want to think about this. Most important for me this season was to stay in K-Lingua, and then we will see what happens in the future.
But you've been here for a few years now, and a lot of players have left. Do you feel like a leader in that team?
This is not maybe question for me, this question for other guys, but I feel like a leader here. Of course, I score always too much goals, important goals, and even on the training, I want to push guys to go up every day to be better and better. And I think this fans recognize to me, and because of that also they love me so much. And of course, I'm so thankful for them.
For sure. Well, every year when Incheon do this and you stay up, we always say that maybe this is now the time that the club moves away from relegation battles because, we've talked before about the stadium, fans, everything is there. What needs to happen for this club to become more successful and avoid relegation battles every year?
I hope this feeling it's the last time for this club. This club can be relegated, and every year same story. But I think this story is finished. Now we need looking forward for better place, maybe for 6 or 7, or go in ACL. Why not? Because if we choice maybe now, I think many players left. Maybe another players come. This is question for president and for general manager and our coach. Maybe he will choose some another players, or I don't know what will be happen in the future. But I think this is we have to be better because we have everything to be good club, and like I say, in stadium and fans and city and everything deserve to be a good club in the future.
Let's hope so. Well, Stefan, thank you very much for your time again. Congratulations. Good luck with the national team, and hopefully we'll see you next season.
Yes, thank you so much for it.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Fans, we want to hear from you. You're encouraged to email KLU at info@kleagueunited.com or tweet at K-League United with any questions, comments or reactions. Or follow us on Facebook to ask directly during one of our live shows.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters, joined by Peter Hampshire.
Hey.
And Matthew Binns.
Hello.
Let's talk about the FA Cup final. Matthew, you've got that twinkle in your eye. It looks like there's another trophy on your horizon. And so I'm going to start with you here. And Jeonbuk just wins. That's what you guys do. But with that in mind, you've brought this up before. Jose Moraes would be the first Jeonbuk manager to win a double. So how much does the FA Cup mean to Jeonbuk this year?
Yeah, well, this year perhaps, I guess is the question, because normally it means very little. They've undervalued this competition for so long. They last won it 15 years ago in Che Kang-hee's first season in charge. And this final is coming ahead of nearly a full ACL tournament. So I wonder how much they really want this final. I wonder how much they definitely want two legs anyway, because it's not just like they're playing an ACL final. They've got like 4 group games and hopefully beyond. So it's kind of in the way. But yeah, it is a final. And it's a trophy that they've not won in a long time. And it's a trophy many fans would want to win as well. And of course, anybody wants to win a trophy. So yeah, they should be excited about it. I think as well, I think we're tired of the Ulsan fixture. I think we're just worn out. I want to see the final. I'm desperate to see the final, but I don't think I can do Ulsan again. Not twice. I'll go, but I'm like, I was just, it was the 3 Ulsan games this season have been nerve-wracking, tense. You know, we've Jeonbuk's come out on top 3 times, but they've been close games, and we're going to get 2 more close games here. So perhaps, you know, if you're coming in now into Korean football and you see this final, this is going to be a good final. There's going to be 2 teams that are going to be closely contesting it, but if you're a Jeonbuk and Ulsan fan, you're probably just thinking, we can't do this again. I think as well for Moraes, it could be quite important because he's trying to pad out his CV for sure, and a double, you know, would put him in Jeonbuk law for his achievements, and rightly so. I think. Well, I mean, it's been reported today by Portuguese media that he's not looking to extend his contract beyond its expiration. There's been no statement from the club or the manager himself at the time of recording. But yeah, he may see this as an opportunity to just get that extra trophy on there. You know, it's 2 matches. He's had the better of Kim Do-hun during his 2-year tenure at Jeonbuk, and he might feel like he'll have just another couple goes at it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, on the other side of this, Pete, would a cup win be vindication for Ulsan? Like, would that do it?
No, I don't think so. I think if you're a player, you always want to win the league, as that proves that you're the better team over the course of a full season. And I think when you listen to player interviews, they always talk about how the league is the one they want to win. And I watched Bulthouse and Moraes on the KFA live interviews. I think it was this morning. The days are getting mixed with all these school children coming back. Now Korea's down to level 1, but they were both speaking English, so that helped, or Bulthuis was anyway. And they both seem very relaxed, which is what struck me. So I'm hoping that now the season's over, we're going to see some more, like that Daegu Pohang game, just out and out attacking football where they can enjoy themselves. I mean, we've not seen that in the 3 games previously, but it's the cup, and it's not. I don't know. I feel like in Korea it's not got as much. It's not as prestigious as in other countries, and they can enjoy themselves more and really go for it.
I think a big problem with that, and we talk about this all the time, and we don't have to get into it right now, but it's a 2-legged final, and there's no reason for that. We don't need to be doing this midweek, and I think that leads to my follow-up question, and I also think that this is going to prevent either game from being as entertaining as it could be. It's a double leg final. Are we going to see a 0-0 tomorrow night? I mean, both of these teams are gearing up for ACL. They've faced each other a bunch. Jeonbuk just won the title, which Dan's in the comments again saying that Jeonbuk have no pedigree in this competition. Their manager wants out, and they'll be suffering from a league-winning hangover, so they'll only win 1-0. Which I think could be right. I think, Matthew, convince me it's not going to be 0-0 tomorrow.
I can't. I think it's going to be a very similar side to the team that played at the weekend against Daegu. It's going to be for Jeonbuk anyway, it's going to be a similar side to the one that played Ulsan. I think Jeonbuk aren't going to mix it up tactically because I don't think they've had time to try something. They won't have had time to try something new on the training ground. So it'll be like, well, we'll just do the same thing again. I guess the only thing that might convince you otherwise is that Ulsan have got Bjorn Johnson and Dave Bultuis available for selection once more. So that could shore up the defence potentially. It depends on the performance. But then Bjorn Johnson, well, we've said about how Junior, we said last week he'd been struggling with injury. He'd been played a lot through the season. Perhaps we see Bjorn Johnson start because he'll be fresh. He's had a few weeks of training. He could cause some problems. But then you look at Jeonbuk and you look at how they've nullified key players in opposition squads. Ilyachenko for Pohang's not had a sniff this season. Junior's always struggled against Jeonbuk. Cecina last weekend, Cecina, our only hope, as Dan tweeted, nothing. Absolutely absent from proceedings, basically, on Sunday. I mean, I know Daegu didn't have anything really to play for, but he was certainly nullified. And yeah, Jeonbuk have a way of countering these big players. So, it depends how effective Bjorn Johnson will be. But those two are back and they could be the difference makers it could lead to, it'll be a different team that will be selected to the one we saw 2 weeks ago for Ulsan. And that might get different results.
Also, it seems like Jeonbuk's fullbacks have settled in. They had some issues about a month ago. But now Chechul Sun's settled in at left back. I wonder if Young, we've mentioned before how he can't manage 2 games in a week, and especially with all these ACL games coming up, he might decide to bring Young at left back again.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, Young has struggled to do 2 games in a week, and he might not be able to do one of these legs at least.
Yeah, probably save him for the second leg. All right, yeah, and like we said, the first leg is kicking off tomorrow night as of time of recording. That'll be Wednesday night here in Korea, and the second leg is this weekend. It will wrap up on Sunday in Jeonju, so there might be another trophy celebration in Jeonju, or maybe Ulsan will spoil the party. But as for all of that, Dan Croydon has a preview up on K-League United right now for the first leg. So if you want to dig in and see if Ulsan can do it, see if they can do it, go ahead and head over to the website for that. But we're going to take a really quick break, and then we'll come back for the Ilji Luis mailbag. We'll be right back.
Ilji Luis is your neighborhood British bar and cafe located in the Old Jiro district of Seoul. Decorated in old English antiques and furniture for a true homely feel, you can enjoy homemade scones, cakes and afternoon tea during the day, and traditional British favourites like beef stew, English ale, and a fine selection of wines at night. Available for private parties or simply an evening out, Ilji Luis is sure to become your favourite neighbourhood pub. Be sure to mention K-League United at the bar during your visit, and you'll get 10% off your bill.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Walters, joined in the Ilji Luis mailbag by Pete Hampshire.
Hi.
And Matthew Binns.
Hello.
Pete, why are you itching your leg again? What's going on?
I was just thinking about that cheese board again. I think my Seoul curfew might be lifted soon, so I'm gonna destroy that salami and cheese.
For those watching or for those listening to the podcast, you should watch us live because it is a good looking cheese board. And as somebody that's lactose intolerant, I went for it anyway, and I have no regrets. All right, Matthew, what do we got in the mailbag?
Okay, first in the mailbag, we have Charlotte Patterson. She has a question in asking about Ulsan. What's next for them? Do you expect to see a shift in personnel? Do you see Kim Do-hun move towards the door? Or do you see Junior going elsewhere?
I think one of those front two at Ulsan will leave, either Bjorn or Junior.
Yeah.
Because Bjorn's not going to stick around for another season on the bench, and Junior might get poached. So it's going to be a different striker up front, I think, next season.
Unless we've had a couple of people in the comments. I think they might be able to be honest. I think he seems really happy there. The age that he's at right now, I mean, maybe he's got one more big contract, and you can't say no to a big payday. So maybe a big contract lures him away, and then hopefully not Jumbuk. Ulsan can make a little bit of money there. But yeah, we've had a couple of comments during the live stream here talking about Ulsan. One saying Kim Do-hun out. So hey there. I mean, that's nothing new there, but I think that's probably going to happen. And there are already rumors of Hong Myung-bo taking over, which would be interesting. Might as well. Yeah. So I think for Ulsan, I don't know. Do you give it one more go? Do you keep this club around and give it one more go? Or do you try something else? I don't know. Personally, I feel like they're right there. And if they can hang on to Junior, then yeah, go for it.
Well, yeah,
bring Kim Chinook back.
If Jumbuk didn't exist, then they've had two fantastic seasons if you're looking at it from an outside perspective. But obviously, they've got that thorn in the side.
Okay. Well, next out the mailbag is Branko Balan. He's in here as well. Jeju columnist Branko Balan.
I hope he's wearing the hat.
Hey, now that they've clinched the K2 title, what are Jeju's chances of a top 6 finish next year? So he's thinking big for Jeju already.
Well, first, congrats to Jeju United on winning the K2 title. Fantastic stuff there. And also on the note of K2, the match this weekend between Seoul Eland and Jeonnam Dragons has been postponed to the 21st to coincide with Daejeon Hana Citizen, a move that makes all sorts of sense because Jeonnam and Seoul could have finished their match, and then Daejeon would know exactly what they need to do in their last two makeup games as they wait for all the negative tests to come in from the COVID-19 tests to come back negative for them to begin playing again. So that's why we nixed K2 from this week's rundown. So nice to have it in here. But Jeju's chances at top 6, not very good. I mean, it's not that Jeju's not good. I don't know who you replace and try to get them in there. Obviously Sangju's not going to be there next year. I don't think Gwangju's going to be in the top 6. So there is room there, but we expect FC Seoul to improve. We expect Suwon to improve. I think Gangwon's going to be decent again. That top 6, I think, would be a pretty big ask for Jeju. Personally,
we've seen Nam-kil is very adept at getting teams out of the K2. He's done it on numerous occasions. It'd be nice to see what he can do again in the K1. I think it might be similar to this season, where it's a race for 6th, and then 6th place gets battered in the final round.
Yeah.
Okay. Next out the mailbag is our Bucheon FC 1995 columnist George Slade. He's got a question in. What is the best next step for Cho Kyu-sung, because he will not be under 22 next season? Should he stay and fight for his place? Should he be loaned out, or should he look for a permanent move away? I'm gonna just field it. I think he might be. I reckon he'll probably stay, because Jeonbuk are lacking striker options at the moment. But I don't know whether it would be the best move for him personally, because he may struggle to get game time. But with Lee Dong-guk gone at the moment, there is only 2 strikers. Now, Jeonbuk may look to bring in more than likely look to bring in new blood. But Cho Kyu-sung's looked all right in recent weeks. He seems to have found a position for him out wide. He seems to know what he's doing now. But I'd like to see him stay personally. I think there is talent there. He's not at the best of seasons, but it's a big step up. But he's slowly looking the part. His best next step, to answer the question, I'd say a loan in the vein of Han Sung-kyu. would be his best move. But
To FC Seoul, sure, I'll take that.
well, yeah, well, maybe not there, but we'll see.
Him and Cho Young-uk, sure,
Yeah.
please.
There's a question in from about John Book as well. I just think we might as well squeeze it in here. It's coming in the comments from Jun. It says Jose Mouret's leaving. Well, he's rumoured to be leaving. It's still not 100% confirmed. It's just what Portuguese media has reported. And the media have highlighted Kim Sang-sik as the preferable choice. And is he the right decision? Now, Kim Sang-sik, he was the assistant manager for Chae Kang-hee for quite a long time, up until Chae Kang-hee left in 2018. He was actually Chae Kang-hee's pick to replace him in 2018. That's what was said in an interview. But he didn't have the coaching badges at the time. He stayed on as assistant under Jose Moraes, and I think there's nothing wrong at John Book. So you'd probably just keep him in charge. I think he's got a good reputation among the players. He has played for the club as well. He's very good friends with he's friends with Lee Dong-guk. So Lee Dong-guk's looking to go into coaching as well. So you could put possibly him in the backroom staff. That's my pure speculation, by the way. That's but yeah, I don't know. I personally think Kim Sang-sik is the right choice. I just think if Jose Moraes goes, then you don't want to rock the boat too much.
When we sit behind the dugout at John Book, it always seems like a fairly equal relationship between the staff, including Moraes in that. It doesn't seem like it's Moraes who's leading the decisions. It seems a discussion even when they make substitutions, it seems like a discussion before each one. It's not just Moraes pointing at players and Kim Sang-sik's not just calling them over. It seems like his opinions are valued.
Yeah, I think it's a safe choice.
Okay, let's go back into the mailbag. We've got Luke at Incheon. Luke, do you think K1 might have finished differently over a full season rather than 27 games? Do you think the shortened season has affected results? Would John Book still have won? With more time, might teams have finished higher or lower?
I think John Book would have won more emphatically with more time. I think they, like you said, players started to find their positions. The summer signings gelled pretty quickly as well. Mobero and Gustavo both were fantastic. They had a little bit of a cooling off period, but then I think they looked the part. They started winning the games that they had to win. I think Final B would have looked different. I don't know that Gwangju is able to stay in the top half over a couple more games. And then, maybe Suwon finds that run of form a little bit earlier and they get up there. I think Final B would have looked different.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Final B, anyone could have gone down if it was 3 games longer.
It
would have been fantastic to see. And that's why I wouldn't have the split in the K-League. I'd just have 12 teams and just fixtures, because then you could have someone drop like a stone, like Gwangju could have dropped like a stone, and that would be really interesting. But as it is, you get to the 5 games left and there's a block on it.
I like the split, but
well, I think for me it depends if this question means would the season started at a normal time, and if it started in March and if the Champions League was still on, then I think the only difference would be it would have been longer to get to that summer window. So John Book would have had to have struggled without a strike force for more games. And they were already struggling in Asia. I think the only thing, and this is why I put Ulsan in third, I just imagined Ulsan were going to continue in the Champions League, and that's where John Book were going to capitalise, because I saw John Book not potentially going as far, especially after watching that opening game in the Champions League where they just seemed to be stunned by Yokohama. But we'll be talking about that in an AFC pod in a couple of weeks, I believe. But yeah, so I mean, it's all hypothetical, but yeah, I don't know. If it started in May, I think if you played the full amount of games starting from May, I think John Book would have won. But if you started in March and it was the season as originally planned, I think it still would have been very tight. I'm not going to say who would have won. I said John Book.
You're always going to say that.
I did say John Book, so I have to. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a comment come in on Facebook a little while ago from Bjorn watching in Germany that I wanted to throw this one in here. He said it's a little bit off topic, but I feel like we're kind of on this topic now. What do you think of an expansion of K-League to 16 or 18 teams? So obviously that would involve bringing some K2 teams up. When the pyramid opens, I think that this could be possible. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think yes. I'd like to see more, but you got to expand the second division as well in that case, and I'm not against that either. But at the moment, there's not the teams with the structure to do that. I mean, we're looking at K3 team. If we look at K3 teams, not all of them stay afloat. Some go bankrupt in things, and there are ones that are historic. The ones that were in the National League that are still there. They could possibly hold their own in the K2, but they're still semi-professional. So you're asking these clubs to bring themselves up to professional standards. Yes, I'd love it. I'd love the idea of it. I'd love to have more teams. I don't know whether it would be possible, but it'd be better format for the season. Like Peter says, we could just have fixtures. We wouldn't have to have a split.
I mean, the thing that I would like about that, the more teams that we have in the top flight, the more movement we can have between the leagues. I really hate the seasons where we only have one team going down and one team coming up. I just don't find that entertaining. I don't find that fun. I don't like the promotion relegation playoff final. I think it should be the way that it is this year. Every year, the K2 winner automatically comes up, and then the playoff winner gets promotion. I mean, we could even increase that. We could have it be first and second automatically come up, and then there's a playoff on top of that. I mean, I think it all just depends on the demand, depends on what's there. And once we can get the pyramid open, which hopefully is happening soon, and we can then, I think, like you're saying, Matthew, then we can get the idea of these K3 clubs and see them come up from K3 to K2 and see what kind of stability we have there, and then maybe move into this. But I mean, on paper, yeah, sure. I like this idea.
Yeah, I saw something online the other day of a poster of, I think it was K3 teams with 5 teams, and 3 of them are not in existence anymore. So I think a few more years of those leagues developing open up the pyramids, which sounds like a game show or something. And then I think you can see in the K2 as well, slowly catching up, getting stronger each year, and then that'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Perhaps Edon Gut could host the opening up the pyramid.
Fantastic.
The K League quiz show. Right, let's move on.
There's just one other one in the comments from June. Do you want to get that one?
Yes. Okay. It's from June in the comments. Recently, there was a story out of Australia that FC Seoul approached Socceroos gaffer Graham Arnold, with Arnold eventually turning him down. Are FC Seoul capable of splashing big on a new manager?
We kind of said this at the time. I think that's 100% agent hype. I think that was Graham Arnold's agent seeing a little bit of an opening with FC Seoul and using that leverage personally to just say, see, Australia, he's worth something. But I did like that Seoul was being rumored for that. Are they capable of doing it? I don't know.
They've spent a lot of money on Ki Sung-young.
Yeah.
He's there for 3 more years, I believe. So
Park Chu-young's contract should be coming off the books, and they should not renew that. That is a battle that Paul and I are going to have on the podcast this off season. We're going to talk about that. But I mean, that's a decent chunk of change that they shouldn't be spending anymore. Adriano was a 1-year deal. That's a decent chunk of change they won't have to spend anymore. Ali Baya has been frozen out of the team. That's money that they're going to save. So to me, I think they need to. I don't know if they're going to, but I think they need to. And Dan is saying Kim Do-hoon to Seoul, and Dan no longer writes for K-League United. Oh no. If Kim Do-hoon moves to the team that's in my backyard, Anyway, yeah. What do you guys think of the manager position for FC Seoul?
I saw Park Jin-sok was rumored a couple of weeks ago.
Like that idea.
At Gwangju. I think it'll either be that. We don't see many like inter-team moves, do we, in the K-League? We don't see many managers poached from lower down who get a chance to prove themselves. It always seems to be a random appointment that you don't expect. I think that'll be what it will be at Seoul again.
Yeah, I think, but that kind of emphasizes how false the Graham Arnold rumor was. So you've gone from Graham Arnold to Park Jin-sok. No offense to the Gwangju manager, he's done a great job this season, but it's like they are 2 very different kinds of budgets.
Yes.
I think Seoul could employ from overseas. They've done it before. It wouldn't surprise me if they did it again. Dan Croydon back in the comments. He's 100% serious about Kim Do-hun going. So I mean, I'm all for it. Anywhere, as long as he's not replacing Jose Moraes. We had that discussion last week. If you're interested,
I'm more with our good friend Che Jae-min, who's on Facebook right now, saying he has no idea what's going on with FC Seoul, and I feel like that's what it's going to be going into the off season. But Kim Do-hun to FC Seoul. You know what? I'd take a second place finish as long as they don't bottle it. If they just finish second and they don't, they're not in first for most of the season and then just choke at the end, I think that'd be entertaining. I'd be fine with that.
Okay. Well,
all right. Yeah, let's go. You're right. Let's go.
Final question. It's in from Dejan, Citizen FC Brazil. How do you evaluate the K-League season 2020 with all the pandemic problems? For me, it was a terrific effort and a successful season overall, even with all the problems. Zero COVID cases in K1. There's only the one confirmed one in K2 so far. Touch wood, that's all it will be. And more than 10,000 in attendance at the final game of the season.
I mean, tremendous success. I mean, obviously we're a little bit biased here, but I think to be one of the first major leagues up and running, and then to have fans back as soon as we did here, to have those protocols in place, to then immediately say, no, we can't do this anymore as cases spiked, and to have that awareness and to take that away, and then to have fans back in the stadium at the end of the season. I mean, it was reduced capacity, but I think we all felt that at the end of the season, how much of a difference that made. And we only get Incheon fans going nuts when they come back against Busan because the league handled things well. And, props to the Korean government for doing things as well as they have here. But you guys were there last weekend when Jeonbuk lifts the trophy. That doesn't happen with fans there if the league doesn't do things as well as they did. And I mean, hats off to everybody involved, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it was good that Lee Dong-gook actually had people in the stands to wave to while he was having his hour-long ceremony on Sunday night when I was trying to get home to Gimje. But it's good because other leagues around the world will be looking at the K-League, how they've managed it and the protocols behind it. It's fantastic to see, and we've been very privileged to have some fans back. And it does make a difference, even when they're not allowed to sing, because obviously if you're singing, then you're releasing particles in the air. But even with the clapping, it does make a big difference. And I was surprised. I thought it might be a bit cheesy, just a bit of like an ice hockey game, clapping along. But I was surprised.
Why are you coming at hockey, man? You are coming at my very soul right now.
I thought it might sound a bit cheesy with the speakers and the clapping and not authentic, but it did get going. The atmosphere was good.
Is the implication that hockey is not authentic? Peter, you and I are going to have a chat. We're going to have a chat.
Well, I think we'll have it out.
Right as well soon. He's sacking everyone.
And on that bombshell, we'll clamber out of the mailbag.
Yeah.
And if you like what we do, and you want to fund whatever writers we have left. No, if you want to support our website, you can support us on patreon.com/K-League United. Over there, we have exclusive editorial pieces, including full player interviews, podcast extras, Saturdays, which are statistical pieces that Paul writes for Saturdays. There's the pun. Just telegraph that joke. And you can win merch, random prize. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Random boxes will be sent this week. Well, yeah, they're going to go out. We'll find a way. They're going.
They might be there in 3 months, but we're sending them.
They're coming. If you want to join our Patreon, your tiers start as low as $1, $3, and $5.
Yes, and if you'd like to listen to this podcast live, you can do so every Thursday on Football Nation Radio down in Australia. And if you subscribe to the podcast via iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, or wherever you download your podcast, and leave us a review, you will be entered into this month's K-League kit contest, which we can announce here, which was announced a little bit earlier on the K-League Twitter account, will be in honor of Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors' 8th championship, their 4th consecutive. It's a Kim Bo-kyung kit. It's really nice. Really like it. It's the away kit, which I really like that kit this year. And that's the giveaway for the month of November as we get ready to see them go at it in ACL. We did have a question come in about Champions League, but we went way too long. So we'll try to get that into next week where we will be previewing the AFC Champions League. But again, we went a little bit long. So for Matthew Binns and Pete Hampshire, I'm Ryan Walters. Thanks so much for listening.
김남춘 골! 스코어 2대0 김남춘의 추가골. 지금 이진영 선수가 김남춘